All right, good afternoon. This is on a beautiful day in Texas here. We are going to get into a little series of shelf sitters. Now, shelf sitters are always very important. I mean, not important, but I mean a lot of fun to do, in other words, and people like them a lot to sit on their shelves or sit on their windowsills or whatever it is. And we're going to do, first of all, we're going to do an easy one, and then we'll move into some a little bit more difficult and stuff like that. But the first one we're going to do is a little bird, and I just cut him out. In other words, drew him and cut him out, and I'll show you what we, basically he's going to be pretty simple and pretty much just a project of shaping, as we might say. And shelf sitters are very, very popular with people everywhere, or especially homeowners that use them to put on their shelves and do things like that, in other words. And shelf we mean for a kitchen sink, for a kitchen, especially windowsill or whatever it is, in other words. And they're not hard to make, most of them. They're relatively simple when you're used to, of course, when you're used to carving and stuff like that. But we're going to use our small knife because this is not real long. Now this is about 5.5 inches long and only 1 inch thick. So it's not real thick. It's only about 1 inch thick. And basically what this will be taking down of the project to bring it down. As with the tail here, we see on both sides, I'm going to kind of come down here like this. You don't really necessarily want it to a point, but you want that part. So basically what we're doing here is we're shaping. We're going to be shaping our figure. Now this is kind of a long tail little bird, and it's not going to be what I'm saying, it's not going to be a extremely gosh, I'm looking for the word here, a detailed project. It's just more of a shaping project, and this is a good little afternoon project if you want to do a little shelf sitter. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do animals, and we're gonna do quite a few different versions. Now as we work with the tail here, we're going to simply round it off. Now if you want to, before you start, you can run a center line down. A lot of people run a center line down. I guess I'm so used to it, to kind of give you an idea of how much you're taking off on each side. Sometimes I don't do that because I'm so used to doing this kind of thing that I don't use a center line all that much. But it's a good way to start off if you haven't been carving a long time, because it gives you sort of a general idea of the look and see, well, am I taking off too much here or too much there or whatever. Now of course when you cut it out, if you cut it out, or you can actually just get a block of wood that's long enough and carve one out from that block of wood, from the pattern itself. You want to just now the tail, what we want to do is we want to come in here and we want to thin that tail up a lot. We want to thin it up where it's of course, like I said, the way it sits, of course it sits on a shelf just like that, but we want to thin that tail up so that it's got a good we want the tail to be kind of thin, so we're just kind of brushing down here doing some, and the more you carve this out right in here, as you use your push cut, the more that you'll have kind of a sway into that tail, and that's what you want if you can do it. Now, let me warn you, on this particular project, and I mean, it was, you know, the grain was running this way. You want to be sure and realize that on this tail, you're going to start carving down, and you're going to hit. You're gonna hit where it turns, the grain turns. So beware of that. Like right in here, this grain is fine in here, but when it gets down here, as you can see, it grabs. So when it grabs, you want to turn your knife the other way. If you've been carving for a period of time, you understand grain a little bit. You understand fighting with it. With if the grain is working or not, or if it's fighting you, and you just have that feel. A carver has that feel after a while and knows when that grain's turning on him, and they will turn back the other way. If you don't, then you're liable to split your piece and trying to force the wood, or cut yourself by it breaking and all that. So most carvers know that. But if you are new at this, first of all, this is a great project for a new person who is just learning to carve, because it's actually forming the project, is what it is. And so we're going to come up to the body now, and the same thing is going to be done with the body. Basically, we're going to form this body this way, and I'm out in the garage, so you're going to hear cars and you're going to hear things come by every once in a while. And then we want to bring this head kind of to a point here, because that's going to be a beak, and we're not gonna make anything exceptionally detailed here, but we are going to work with, as you can see, we just work with that kind of stuff. Okay, and we're just gonna slowly bring all this down and work from side to side, so that you can get this. But most of the time, once you get the head down to where you want it, then you can kind of work the body down to where you want it. So okay. And of course, you get rid of the saw marks here, and you just keep sort of bringing that. Now on that beak, you want to be careful. You don't want to get too rambunctious and get too, but you do want to bring the beak to basically a point. That way, of course, as you can see, and you can go ahead and draw your center line. I should have done that too, So you'll see kind of like from each side. You want that beak to come down to sort of a point. So you want to be real careful and take off a little on both sides as you go along. Just like this. Just like that. See that? See that as you see the line. And continue to bring that down until you bring that to a point right in there. And you want to go from side to side. Okay? Which you basically have almost brought that down to a point. And then you start bringing the head down on both sides to compensate for that, you know, that head. And from the back, you know. So as you can see, so you come in here and you start bringing all this down in here just a little bit at a time to compensate for the head and for the body as you bring it down, in other words. As you look at it, as you can see from the front here, we just kind of bring from the sides down a little bit. Just a little bit, in other words. And then you start bringing down your sides where you want to get the top of your head rounded off. And then as you go down, you start removing some wood along here. And here. Okay. And here. See how that sort of all works together to equal all the stuff here. See, now it's already shaping pretty darn good. So we just want to continue to, well, I mean, when I say shaping, you don't want it to have that square look to it. You want it to have the round look to it, in other words. So you just slowly work, and where you get this area, see how now this area looks more of a round shape than it does a square shape. And that's how you work that in. And that way you can sort of work this down to what you want it to be. Yeah, you start off with the simpler pieces, and so this just, you know, a lot of people, now I have already made some shelf sitters. I have some videos on making a rhinoceros, a rhino shelf sitter, and a leopard shelf sitter, cat, or like cat type shelf sitter. It wasn't really a cat, it was more like a little leopard and stuff. And then I made a video called A Fishing Dog, and it was actually a shelf sitter. And it was, you know, it was a dog holding a fishing pole, but it could be used as a shelf sitter as he sat on the shelf and fished, in other words. So there are so many different varieties of shelf sitters. And these are just, you know, this one basically, like I said, is just simple. It sits on the shelf with the, but what gives it is the tail hanging down. And it gives it that look, see? All right, there we go. Now see, we're getting to that point. We want to take a little bit more off in here so that it will give even more roundness to the piece. Said this is a shaping. We're not going to do any eyes on this or any beak necessarily. We're just going to use this portion as the beak itself, and it's going to be just painted black, and just like it's a blackbird sitting on a shelf. The popularity of, most people know every Christmas, the popularity of Elf on the Shelf is very, very popular, and that trend started many, many years ago. Well, not many, but it started some years ago, and they started it where you would put the elf different places on different days and stuff like that. Very, very popular campaign. I don't know who came out with it, but it was a very popular campaign. It was a very you know, they've sold a ton of those things, in other words, and now I noticed last Christmas that they now make the animals, the dogs for them, and the animals that go with them and stuff like that. So they are it's a very popular campaign, and now they make the where they started out with just the boy shelf sitter. Now Elf on the Shelf, they got the little girl that you can use for the girls and stuff like that. So these are very popular items, and just to show what would be really a fun project is to make some of these no more than maybe 3 inches high or something like that, and give them away to people. Just as this is a very simple, as you say, a very simple project that people could put on their shelves at home. Especially even you make the miniature ones, and they can use them on their miniature curios and their miniature shelves and stuff like that. So there is something to shelf sitters that people like, and I'm just going to kind of do this a little bit, kind of okay. All right, and then we're going to kind of bring us this, just And as you see, now it's a very, very simple project. So it is, yeah, like I said, this would be a great little gift if you were going to a carving show this year, and you can make some little small ones. It's only about 2 or 3 inches, and give them to the little kids, or give them away as souvenirs, wood carving souvenirs, where they simply miniatures sit on shelves. Like I said, this one is 5.5 inches, so it is not considered a miniature. But I could see where you can make a bunch of them, and okay. And all I'm doing is getting this down to a good point where it is basically like that. All right, well, basically we've got this thing pretty much the way we want it. Didn't take that long. Very simple project, and a very nice project. It's just like I said, it's a very simple, but it's a nice project. You can actually come in here and just make that a little bit. Oh, be careful. I see where that, yeah, on that side, there we go. So on each side, just kind of come to a point right there, but be very, very careful. Drag your knife along there, because you can be okay. And you just come a little bit more to a point there.